do you think today's Black American travelers help improve relationships with the U.S. government, between Ghana and the U.S. government?
I think Ghana should be the introduction to Africa for everybody. That then sort of opened the door. If you say you should come, you are the president. The opportunities are there in many areas, agribusiness, and normally because you've lived or you're coming from there,
Black Americans spend billions of dollars on travel each year. I'm sure you all know that. And Ghana continues to be a top priority in terms of places to visit. What are they saying about their experience? Can you speak to that a little bit? I am where I'm at.
So where are you? New York?
I'm in Texas, San Antonio.
Okay.
Have you been before?
Not Texas, but I've been not San Antonio, but Houston, yes, and Dallas, yes.
Houston and Dallas. We got to get you to San Antonio next.
I'll try next time. Is it cold over there now?
The weather in San Antonio has a mind of its own. Yesterday it was sunny. Today it's cold. Tomorrow we may have a hurricane. Who knows? I don't know.
That's
anyway. Listen, I
come here to Ghana yet?
I have not had the privilege of being to Ghana yet. Many of my friends lived there. I've had the pleasure of being to other African countries, but I lived in Ethiopia for 2 years.
Yeah, okay.
I've been to Kenya for about a month.
All right.
For about a month.
Okay.
And that's it. I think next I'll most likely be going to Uganda in April.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah.
East and Southern Africa have a different vibe, you know? Yeah. The weather is calmer, it's cooler, but they have a larger colonial influence than in West Africa.
East Africa?
Yes, I think
really?
Because one, the climate was more accommodating for Europeans. It's cooler than in West Africa, the vegetation and all of that. The West had a lot of mosquitoes. Mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Those little bugs that bite you. So malaria was killing a lot of the Europeans who came down here. And then the kingdoms in West Africa were very, very organized and robust, like the Ashanti Kingdom, Yoruba, and so on. So there was a lot of resistance to European influence here. So we were a little more, it took us quite a while for them to control us, And so we have kept a little bit more of our authenticity, I think, than them. For example, you go to Nigeria, most people would speak their local language, Yoruba or Igbo, in addition to, say, English. It might not necessarily be the case in, say, South Africa. You see, it's a little different, and our cultural landscape is very vibrant. The music, look at Afrobeat, for example,
Yeah, it's very popular around the world.
Well,
here in the U.S.
Also, and we allow that people. We make much more noise than East Africa. We got horn all the time. And I think we've got more cuisine. Better food. They drink more than us. The Ugandans, my God, those guys can drink.
I don't know. When I was in Ethiopia, oh my gosh, I was quite surprised at how much Ethiopians can drink. Obviously, coffee was her drink, but Ethiopians can drink as well. They will pick well here in Texas.
Right.
Can drink. Listen, I'm very excited to be talking to you. I've had the opportunity to read some of your interviews on tourism, Pan-African unity, and how tourism impacts that. And I admire your thought and your philosophy on how tourism can serve as a bridge between the diaspora communities. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us here today for about 30 minutes to talk about tourism in Ghana.
Anything for your brother.
Hey, we got to. Yeah. If you want to talk, right? If you want to talk to the community, you got to talk to us. So I appreciate it.
Right. That's right.
And so let's jump into it. Last year, Ghana granted 524 people citizenship, mostly Black Americans.
Right.
Since you all have launched the year of the return, 1,500 Black Americans have relocated to Ghana. That's incredible. You often talk about the political significance of this. From your perspective, what is the political significance of Black Americans traveling and moving to Ghana?
Okay. I think it's, okay, let me put it this way. We got independence in 1957. And our first president or prime minister then was Kwame Nkrumah. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah had lived in the U.S. prior to becoming Prime Minister of Ghana. He had been there when there was segregation and all of that, So he was very much conscious and aware of the struggle, for of people of African descent, in the U.S. especially, trying to gain equality. Now, on the very day of independence, his speech on the Independence Day, he says something like that: the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked with the total liberation of Africa. So right from the beginning of our nationhood as a country, we have always been conscious of the fact that we are connected to the larger African family, both on the continent and in the diaspora. And we know that by there is history that has forced this division, putting some of us here and some of us over the Atlantic. And we've always known that our destinies are interlinked and connected. Anything that affects African people elsewhere, we are interested in that. So that has been generally the guiding philosophy of Ghana's engagement with the Black diaspora. It's not peculiar and restricted to this particular government. It's been so throughout. That's why somewhere along the line, a Pan-African Historical Festival was introduced and so on. Right from independence, we had people like Dr. Dubois, or Dubois, depending on how you want to pronounce it, to live in Ghana. We had Maya Angelou coming to Ghana. We were prominent Pan-Africanists who contributed to the development of this country. So we've always been there's some sort of like of the mecca for everybody else, knowing that it's not just Ghana, it's a bigger Black African family, and some of them are here, some of them might be in Colombia or Brazil or America, and so on. The Americans, they are Africans first. And so this business of granting citizenship is because we realize that it will not be fair to treat an African, a diasporan African, the same way you would process, say, an Indian or a Chinese if they want to be citizens of Ghana. Because people are being your grand-uncle's son. You know what I'm saying? He just happens to be in America there. So if he decides to reintegrate into the community, his processes of integration have to be fast-tracked, have to be considered differently. You might call it discrimination, whatever you call it, we don't mind, because we know who our brothers are, but we don't. And so over the years, there has been, from time to time, some people are granted citizenship. The process generally for getting Ghanaian citizenship for everybody is that you must have stayed here for some time. You must have been of good character. You present yourself to immigration authorities. They do the necessary background checks. And if they consider that you are a good candidate to integrate into the society, the citizenship is granted. There's also the route or the route where the president uses his discretion to say, I have granted these people citizenship, But if you look at those who normally get it, these are normally, in the diasporan case, people who have moved from wherever they are, they've come to settle here for some time, 5 years plus, they contribute, we know who they are, and then they apply, they are vetted, and they are granted citizenship. Now, in 2019, when our president invited the African diaspora to come home, that then sort of opened the door. If you say you should come, you are the president, then we want to come, give us an opportunity. So you realize that the numbers kept increasing from that period. And that has led us to the relevant authorities in Ghana, the Ministry of Interior, they were working on something called a Homeland Return Bill. It hasn't been passed into law yet, but it sought to create a very organized pathway for citizenship for African diasporas, which is quite different and more generous and easier to integrate than for other citizens and nationalities. So the understanding that some of our brethren may want to settle with us, it's something that we appreciate. For example, the widow of Bob Marley, if you know Rita Marley,
yes,
has been in Ghana many years. But see, that the beauty is that if an African American lives in Ghana and he doesn't open his mouth to speak, he looks like your cousin for
like that.
So it's fine, and it's something that we would I think as a country we appreciate that, we understand that, and we want them to integrate, come do whatever they want to do. We want them to flourish, have a good life, enjoy, and so on, because the family is big. You may be Ghanaian, Ghanaian or Nigerian, Ghanaian or African, whichever way it is. If you have an opportunity to contribute, fine. I mean, that's why you see this increase in interest in Ghana. Also, I think since 2019, there has been a deliberate and sustained campaign to encourage diaspora to visit Ghana as tourists. And so that also, when they come, they have a good time, they enjoy the December activities and other things. Then they think, why not do something else? Or invest, why not come and stay? Definitely. And so those are the ways tourism is beginning to serve as the forerunner of people who want to stay long term. And we are open to all of those things.
You mentioned Maya Angelou, W.E.B. Du Bois. You can even throw Malcolm X in there. And their visit to Ghana, Maya Angelou living there, W.E.B. Du Bois living there, was very much political in nature as well.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think today's Black American travelers also, I don't know, politically speaking, help improve relationships with the U.S. government, between Ghana and the U.S. government, or does it serve as, can the Black American community politically just serve as a voice and a community to lean on to advance Ghanaian interests as it relates to the U.S. government?
And we don't have an exploitative approach to the diaspora, It's not like...
call it exploitative.
I think I use the wrong word. I mean,
call it strategic.
Well, let's put it that way. Our primary motivation is that these are kith and kin. 400 years and over ago, circumstances forced them to go and live somewhere under very humane conditions. If today we want the family united and they choose to live here, they're welcome to go, and we'll have to make it easy for them to integrate. But we realize that they are not a monolithic, community with one set of political. How else would you have Black Republicans? Black, yeah. I don't want to be. I want to be politically correct now. So there's a whole spectrum of Black views in America, which is fine with us. You're free to be whatever you are, and so on. And we don't engage the United States government as a country based on just the interests of the African American minority. I think the government relationship is on a different level. But this is more like a cultural integration, but it has benefits also, because if you look at the people who are coming and settling here, some of them are professionals. Yeah. I mean, they are dentists. There's a guy called Dr. Lee who lived in this country for many years, right? Dentists. Some of them are retired university professors. Some of them are agro businessmen exporting things. Some of them into textiles, hospitality, all kinds of activities that are contributing to the growth of the economy, employing people, and so on. And so we are happy to have them, whether or not their politics are favorable to you guys over there or not. That's a second. Yeah, yes.
I want to read you, again, I read one of your interviews that you did a while back, and I want to read a quote, and I want to ask your thoughts on the quote. Right. And so you did an interview with Class 91.3 FM, and you said, "So we've always known that history has separated the African family. Colonialism and all of that hasn't helped us. We have to work together with our African brothers here and outside the continent." So just getting your opinion, again, travel and the proximity that it affords us, how do you see that helping to strengthen the African diaspora as a unified family?
The travel is the first step in breaking down the stereotypes,
getting to know each other.
That's getting to know each other, because you would find certain brothers on the other side who don't like continental Africans because your ancestors sold our ancestors. Maybe they have a point there. You may have certain African Americans they don't have any interest in coming to Africa. They don't want to come. That's fine also. You may also find certain Africans who would come over to the U.S. and exploit African Americans. I mean, it may be either through fake marriages to get residence. So there's all these complex pots of different kinds of people. But what the travel does is that it breaks down the ignorance. I mean, if you come, you fly, you say you live in Houston, never been here. You come to Ghana, then you realize that maybe I live in a place called Kasako, and my house in Ghana is nicer than yours in the U.S.
Maybe more affordable.
More affordable. I drive a cyber truck, you know what I'm saying? Hey, because you can't afford it used to. You start thinking again that Africa is not all dead. You come to my farm and I'm growing corn and maize. Then you start seeing that opportunities exist everywhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
So that's the first step. And then you also see, maybe you go to a festival and you see traditional African chiefs and their regalia and the traditional customs, and it gives you a sense of pride that it's not like you don't have roots. I mean, your president can say he's Scottish American or his wife is from wherever, Slovenia or something. And it's as if there is about Africans who may not particularly know, for example, that I come from today Ghana or today Nigeria. We have no roots. But when you come and see all of these things, then you see the splendor and the beauty of African pageantry, and so it gives you a sense of pride. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you watch the Olympics and you see the 4x100 team running, you find that all the American guys tend to be black guys. Every black guy everywhere supports the American team. It's not because we love the United States so much. It's because we see our people running. When you see them both, you're proud, So
yeah.
So that connection is deep. It's a blood connection, and we want to see our people. I remember when the OJ trial, I don't know if you remember OJ Simpson.
I was very young, but I
was glad that he was innocent.
Really?
People in Ghana, people were jubilating. I said, what they say? Oh, the guy is free. The guy is free. It's about, how do you know if we don't care whether he's free or not? These guys have been cheating us all these years. Even if he's guilty, we are happy he's free. So that was the sentiment. So there's always that, whether you like it or not, that bond is not something you can run away from. You want to see African people, whether yourself, your countrymen, or other Africans, or other African Americans, doing well, prospering, because it lifts your soul. You know that your brother is on the right track. That is why when the guy who said I couldn't be, what's it, George Floyd,
yes,
had a memorial service for him in Ghana. And you say, why are we meddling in American business? Maybe we were, but remember, he was an African diaspora. And if somebody steps on his neck and it is not an issue, for us it's an issue. So those connections are things that we have to appreciate, that, look, we are one big people, but we are in different places. We are not saying that stop being loyal Americans, no. We're not saying give up your nationality, no. But as much as possible, we want you to appreciate that there are certain countries like Ghana, like Sierra Leone, like Nigeria, that recognize that a certain part of their population moves away. And if you want to integrate, we create an enabling environment for you to have a good life, to exercise yourself, and have a place where you can call home confidently, where you walk around and the policeman is black, the governor is black, everybody who calls the show just looks like.
Let's shift a bit to travel, and I want to come back to relocating, because our fans, our viewers, they have questions about the relocation process and also what the experience of Black Americans who live there now have been. But we'll get to that. I want to shift to the travel angle. Black Americans spend billions of dollars on travel each year. I'm sure you all know this. Ghana continues to be a top priority in terms of places to visit. What are you hearing from Black American travelers who do come to Ghana? What are they saying about their experience? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, and this, what I'm saying, is informed by certain surveys we conduct at the airports, like outbound surveys. Generally, it's positive. They're happy with the place. Of course, it's not as infrastructure-wise as developed as parts of the U.S., but they are happy with the hospitality of the people. They are happy with the security they get. They think that there's a variety of things that engage their attention, and so on. So generally, the intention to return, if they have the opportunity, they will come back. The challenge sometimes has been the relative cost of the destination at certain peak periods. Example, airfares to Ghana around December can be a little higher than what you probably pay going to Anguilla or wherever.
Is that because of the year of the return?
And of course, the distance is further, But generally, feedback we get is that they are happy to be around. They have a good time. When they have the opportunity, they'll come.
I understand. Yeah. Absolutely. Many Black Americans are interested in moving to Ghana. And the reason I want to ask you what the relocation process looks like is because I remember reading Maya Angelou's book,
Yeah.
Oh, right. It's Maya Angelou's book
Yeah.
about her life in Ghana.
Right.
And one of the
What's in the 60s? It's a different Ghana.
I know it's a different Ghana, but it was so interesting. One of the things she said was when she got there, Ghanaians were so supportive and so helpful. And she also realized, hey, Ghanaians are going to give jobs to Ghanaians first. And so one of the questions many Black Americans ask about relocating to Ghana is, what does the support look like? Are we getting housing stipend? Are there job opportunities? Are there investment opportunities? So just walk me through that relocation process so everyone knows what to expect if they're moving to Ghana.
Okay. All right. That's an interesting question. No, I think people should be realistic. Nobody's going to give you a housing stipend. You don't give housing stipends to our people here, But the important thing is the resident status that you get. It probably might come in as a tourist on a tourist visa. But it's important that you regularize that with the immigration department so that you have an appropriate residence permit that allows you to stay whatever number of times, the years they give you prior to you getting citizenship or private permanent citizenship. That's important. Another thing you must be careful about is be careful you're not duped. People shouldn't think that just because we're Africans, everybody is honest. When you want to buy land to build, you must make sure that you go do the due diligence checks. Otherwise, people see American, they see the greenback, they see,
I know.
So it's important that you engage with the appropriate public institutions that can help facilitate, like the Ghana Investment Promotion Center or the Ministry of Information or Ministry of Interior. So that at least you going through the proper channels so that you don't get duped by anybody. That's important. 2, or maybe 3, the opportunities are there in many areas, agribusiness, and normally because you've lived or you're coming from there, you tend to have an advantage because you have experienced and seen things done in ways that people here might not necessarily have. Probably have a higher customer service culture and so on and so on and so on. So those things are a plus. But at the same time, there's always the cultural shock that comes from a different orientation, a different mindset. So you must have that emotional intelligence to accommodate certain things. For example, if I tell you that let's meet at the World of Astoria at 6 o'clock in New York, you will be there maybe 5 minutes to 6. Yeah. Right. So when to come at 6 in Ghana, you might come 6:15, 20, 6:25, and you get frustrated. I went with this spot, how many times? There's Africa for you. All those little things you can deal with, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And because the experiences you gave, you are coming with, they are weight in gold. But you must be willing to start small, move on gradually and step by step, And it's also good to talk to people like yourself who have taken the lead. Other Americans, if you're American, other British who are, and then sometimes you can avoid some of the bottlenecks and get some of the lead. And then you hook into the existing network of diasporans, and you get a lot of information. And you should learn how to have a good time in the evening. That's where you get all the fight. That is happening in the evening. Listen to some jazz, listen to high life, and don't expect everything to be like New York. The lights might go up. And what is not coming to an end? You just after 30 minutes to come back on, you sweat a little, you'll be fine, You will.
How are Black American travelers different from the rest of the diaspora?
In 2 ways, yeah. One, you see, when people see them, generally they're happy. It's like, oh, these are like our brothers, and they expect them to very accommodate. But they say they are too demanding, They complain about everything. I've got a ball gecko in my room and the food is not hot. The cook is not cold enough. It's because they are operating with their New York mind, New York style. And then, you have a conversation full of litigation. So I'm paying my dollar to deliver the service or I'll sue you, So they think that they should think like us, and they don't want to, they also think that you're treating me shortly because you think I'm Black. The typical African-American reaction, So that sometimes initial interaction can be a little, how do I put it? But with time, they blend easily, they are fine, they get on. At the bottom of that, at the root core, Black people are Black people, no matter where they are.
That is so true. We are all the same. At our core, we are all the same. Oh my gosh. Oh man. So, Ghana has welcomed some of the most iconic Black American figures from W.E.B. Du Bois to Maya Angelou. Could we see future travel experiences centered around lives of W.E. Du Bois and Maya Angelou? For example, is there a Ghana travel experience that allows us to visit the resting place of W.E.B. Du Bois or the city that Maya Angelou lived in?
And W.E.B. Du Bois, certainly yes. Yeah, every year there's an event that is done. It's called Emancipation Day, where he's publicly honored. We put wreaths on his tomb and everything, Maya Angelou, we haven't exploited that much, but it's something that we can count on. I mean, if you're not a poet, you probably wouldn't bother about Maya Angelou yet, And so some of the living ones, for example, like someone like Idris Delba, yes, yeah, he's part Ghanaian, So some of those people, we can definitely want to let people know that this is where he comes from and try and build a circuit around some of their homes and actions. So yes, that would be cool. That we have pushed this destination is by some of celebrity endorsement, linking up with people who with a certain resonance in the Black community. And if they said I came to Ghana and I had a good time, and we didn't say absolutely. I like a reunion. And we had a officer and a gentleman. What's the guy's name? Oh, this guy. I forgot the name. Of
celebrity have you met and you've been like, oh my God?
Oh, the guy who does this. Wait a minute, the name will come.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yeah, I've met her. I've met
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh, I was impressed.
Did he preach to you?
No, not too much. But he said a few wise words. Did he say? Guy to I'm forgetting the names. Have you watched this movie?
Does he do karate?
Yeah.
Julian?
No. Oh, come on. The name will come. I remember before. No, Lee. He's acted in many movies. Sometimes he's a one-eyed guy. Sometimes he's a soldier.
I think you're talking about maybe Jaleel White. Big guy, strong.
Yeah, big guy. Yeah.
Big guy, strong.
Yeah,
actually, I can try to show you a picture real quick. Let's see.
And it's nice to talk to them sometimes. Like, oh, this is the guy I've been watching on the movies all the time. Is this all live?
Yeah,
it helps. And then everybody then wants to know, why is this guy going here? And they have a good time. Nobody bothers them too much. Nobody's asking them to sign autograph. They can go and sit at the beach and not be bothered, and so on. So we, as much as possible, if we can associate with positive Black folks. Why not? We want them to have Ghana as a second home.
I want to see what celebrity you were talking about. Let me see. I think you're talking about.
I was talking about Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson?
Yeah. Yes, he's the guy. Yeah. He's the actor, right?
Came to Ghana?
He came to Ghana.
Let me make sure we're talking about the same person.
Samuel Jackson.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to share I'm going to show you right now. Is it him?
Yeah, that's the guy. That's Samuel Jackson. Yeah.
Samuel Jackson came to Ghana. I didn't know.
He did. And then
did you meet him?
Yes, I did.
Did you like? Oh my God, Samuel Jackson!
I was modest and calm, just pleased to meet you, sir. I like watching your movies. I had to be quiet.
That's cool. What do you remember? What he said or how he was feeling?
No, he was actually doing something on Elmina Castle. I think there was a movie plot he was developing, and he would be shooting some of the scenes there. He works quite hard though on the set.
Yeah.
Very organized guy.
I know it's a lot of celebrities: Jaleel White, Dwayne Wade, Gabriel Union, Samuel Jackson, Dr. Umar Johnson. I would love
Black Panther. Is it called Lupita something?
Oh, Lupita.
Yeah,
yeah.
But she came around here.
Around as well. Oh, that's really. I would love to know one day what Dr. Umar Johnson said to you, because he preaches a lot here in the U.S. and folks love him. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask me about Black American travelers, about travel, about what we do?
If you wanted to rank the continents Black Americans go to, Which would be the top three?
The continents?
Yeah, I mean, Europe, South America.
I think you're starting to see a shift. And I think you, as the deputy CEO of Ghanaian tourism, is privy to this shift. You're starting to see a lot more Black Americans prioritize travel to the African continent, but also continent and also countries that allow them to connect to their history and their cultural identity. As a matter of fact, I did a video a couple of weeks ago that said there are 5 trends that will impact Black American travel. 5 trends. The first trend is you're going to see more and more Black American travelers this year and moving forward prioritize historical destinations with culturally immersive experiences. Here's what I mean by that, and here's why. This year, 2025, kicked off with an aggressive attack on Black culture, history, and identity here in the U.S., right? President Trump came in, DEI, get out of here. We're also challenging and trying to erase Black American history. As an example, the Tuskegee Airmen in the Air Force curriculum, right? And we've seen many other examples of this at the state level. A couple years ago, Governor DeSantis in Florida was aggressively trying to rewrite the American history in terms of the impact and the influence of slavery on Black African Americans, or enslaved Africans, I'm sorry. And so when you see that, when you see this attack on our history, when you see this attack on our culture, there's a natural response to protect it and preserve it. And you do that by visiting the places that offer it to you. So you're going to see more and more African-American travelers going to places that are historical destinations and also offer an opportunity for us to engage with that history and culture. It could be something as simple as visiting a destination like San Antonio that has 80 Green Book locations. Wow. And if you're familiar with the Green Book, it was a tool used for African Americans to travel safely throughout the South. Victor Hugo Green created the Green Book. It was a list of hotels, bars, and restaurants that would welcome African Americans, and so that they could travel safely throughout the South. Museums, cultural institutions. Ghana is an exceptional example of that. And Ghana is an exceptional example of the third trend. I won't go through all of them. I'll only share number 1 and number 3. The third trend that you will continue to see from African American travelers is diaspora tourism. Why? Again, when our culture and our ethnicity and our heritage and our history is challenged and threatened, there's a natural instinct to ask ourselves, is America it? Are there other places I can go to and feel welcomed, accepted, and celebrated, and above all, safe? And so because of the Black American experience, particularly when we have leadership that threatens our very existence, there's a response to take our money and take our presence and support Black spaces, Black events, Black experiences, Black people. And so I think, to get back to your original question around where the top continents, I think the African continent is continuing to climb. I think right now there's probably a toss-up between Europe and the African continent.
Okay.
But I think over time, you'll see more and more of us prioritize the African continent. And you want to know what the greatest challenge to that is right now? And you mentioned it earlier. Cost. Many of Black Americans, I want to travel to Africa. It's so expensive. And our pushback to them is, well, it's expensive to go to Southeast Asia. It's expensive to go to Europe. But many of them view Africa as just being even more expensive. And I wonder, have you seen that with travelers? Say that it's just too expensive to travel to Africa?
I've had that a few times, that costs that are prohibitive.
I know you all are working on that. You're trying to address that. I know.
Trying to get some charters to bring the FX down. We're trying to regularize Airbnb operations so that at least we can ensure certain standards in Airbnbs. They have to meet certain minimum quality standards, and people can have affordable accommodation. We're trying to work at a policy level with other government agencies to see if we can scrap some of the taxes that seem to build their cost up in the hotel. So it's a work in progress, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
I don't think we can't control the airline fares.
you can't control. Yeah.
We can get other people who bring real competition,
Yes. So one more question I have for you, and I think everyone wants to know, if you are a travel influencer, if you're a journalist, if you're in media like me, what is the best way to partner with the Ghanaian Tourism Board to help promote tourism to Ghana? How do we get those partnership opportunities with you?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. So one of the questions that's on a lot of people's minds is, how do we, as creators, travel writers, media, how do we partner with the Ghanaian Tourism Board to promote tourism to Ghana?
I think it's direct. You reach out to us directly and you give us an idea what you can do together. We'll look at it and we'll engage you to get it done. We are open to the partnership. This job can only be done properly if everybody plays his part, And if you tell an American audience a story, they'll believe it more than I telling them. Because they say, oh, the guy is paid to come and just type and say, So there are times that we even organize familiarization tours. We bring media here. We don't control what they say. Just go around, give us your feedback. And, we've done things with Essence Magazine, New York Times, and so on, so that they hear from their own people their impressions, both good and bad. I mean, we are matured enough to take criticism, and it helps. So it's something that we can always look at and see what we can do together.
Awesome.
Because we are interested in the number.
Okay.
We want.
What's one last thing you want to share with our audience before we find the show?
Look at investment opportunities and so on.
Hello? Okay, what's one thing you want to share with the audience before we end the show? Okay, there you go.
Okay.
All right. What's one thing you want to share with the audience about Ghana, about traveling to Ghana before we end the show? What's one thing you want to share?
I think Ghana should be the introduction to Africa for everybody. Because one is an relatively easy place for somebody who hasn't come to Africa before. One, we speak English. You can understand us. You're not speaking French or Spanish or some crazy language like that. Two, Ghanaians are genuinely open and friendly people because they are confident. And the way we are brought up, the thinking, culturally, is that the visitor is far away from where he comes from. You are at home. So the visitor is the one who needs help because he's alone. His father is not here. His uncle is not here. So we are naturally brought up to accommodate and help visitors. They don't have to be Americans. Anybody who is a stranger. Of course, it can be abused, but that's the orientation. Two, we are very attuned to what is happening in the cultural space in the U.S. The movies, the music, and all of that. So we genuinely, this is not the kind of country where you find people with all kinds of anti-American views, holding placards, condemning American imperialism. We are interested in that thing. We are happy people, want to have fun, want to enjoy life, and live our lives and so on. Who you vote for, you don't vote for, that's your problem. So that's Ghana for you. Also, it's a place where the culture, I will say, is genuinely, relatively authentic. You would find, and the things that we do them for ourselves. If it's a traditional festival, we are not mounting them as exhibitions for tourists. Things that we do in our own cycle, so you can join and appreciate how we organize our lives and so on. And then, because we are diaspora, the relics of the transatlantic slave trade, I think they are more in Ghana than anywhere else, those big forts. And so it makes the history real, relevant, and solid. And anybody who walks through those forts, you get a certain, like a realization that indeed something happened. You can't ignore your history just like that, And then there's the other side, the entertainment, the nightlife, and all of those things. So it's that one destination that gives you a bit of it. Some places you probably focus on wildlife. Maybe you're going for the safari and so on. Ghana is like a mixed bag of a bit of everything. And then on top of that, you're from Houston, so probably you appreciate it. But we have 540 kilometers of coastline, and the weather is summer all the time. no hurricanes, no tornadoes, no earthquakes, you know. You don't need any winter jacket, and the food is very good, and the music is outstanding. So you would genuinely have fun in Ghana. And the airline connections are good. I mean, we have 10 flights to London every week. We have Delta every day to Washington, and not to New York, United every day to Washington. So you know, it's relatively easy. And from Ghana, it's easy to connect to any other part of Africa through other connections. So I would say that make Ghana your introduction to Africa, you know, and then you can move on to other places if you so wish, or stay if you, and we welcome you openly, you know.
Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to join. I actually have one of our viewers.
Okay.
Her niece is moving to Ghana.
Tell her to check lick up with me when she comes.
I will tell her she's gonna be studying abroad in Ghana. And when I heard she's gonna be studying abroad in Ghana, I thought it was the most beautiful and amazing thing. Because again, most of the time when we think about study abroad opportunities as Americans, we think Europe, we think maybe even Southeast Asia, but we don't consider the African continent. And it's so exciting to see Black American students who want to study abroad now looking at African countries like Ghana for that opportunity. And again, like you said, that is the building the bridge between the two communities.
We'll be happy to have it.
And then younger generations. I will absolutely make that.
And some of our, I don't know what school she's going to come to, but if the University of Ghana, for example, I can vouch that.
I think it's the University of Ghana. She's going.
That's my school. And I tell you, some of the faculties, they are very powerful. African study, history, political science, you know, she'll get we'll train her well for you.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate you taking the time to join. This has been so amazing to have this conversation with you. I know I speak for myself and my team, and we admire what your team and Ghana's doing in terms of tourism, and we look forward to visiting one day for sure. And if you ever want to come onto the show to talk about tourism to Ghana, to talk about the year of the return, to share valuable information for travelers and expats, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to serve you all and to work with you all and to be a really great partner with the Ghanaian Tourism Board.
Thank you very much, Leroy. I will definitely take out this offer very quick and soon. Thank you very much. Okay,
so much.
Bye.